it's Colleen. Today I'm going to show you how to make an easy mixed media card. We're going to use several of the products from the Rubbernecker line today. So let me show you all the goodies we're going to use to make our mixed media card. First is the watercolor Lotus. This is a lovely two-layered abstract flower that can be used in so many ways, and that's perfect for a mixed media card. I have this card panel that I had set aside. That's going to be our starting point, what we're going to use today. Then we're going to use the Leaf Stencil. This is a pretty stencil, very delicate. We're going to use the Believe Collage, which is a gorgeous large stamp. Could not wait to get my hands on this beauty. And new to the Rubbernecker family is the distressed background strips. There's two of them and we will use both today. Also new to Rubbernecker is the Shadow Word set. These are perfect little sentiments that you can build to create a whole sentence, and it's perfect for a mixed media style card. I'll show you how we're going to play with these when we get further into the card. And then I did not end up using this lovely stamp set, but this is another one that you could easily use in a mixed media card. And I will notate what the name of that is in the description box. And then finally, of course, the Color Fuse inks from Rubbernecker. So let's start with layer 1, which is to stencil. We're starting with that color panel I told you about, and we're going to add that leaf stencil over it. Now it's going to be a very subtle thing that I'm doing here, but the beauty of mixed media is every little layer adds to the next layer. So don't worry if each individual layer is somewhat subtle, because you will see the whole thing come together at the end. So right now I'm just using some Color Fuse inks in a green color. I'll indicate the color in the description box below, but I'm just very gently dabbing some color over that stencil until I get it to where I like it. Now I did also notate where I got these magnets and the media mat in case you are interested in using that. I like those magnets to hold your stencil down. So I'm just going to play with this until I get it filled up to where I like it. And now I'm going to show you what it looks like. And it is very subtle against that colored panel, but you can see it. Isn't it pretty? So now let's do layer 2, which is stamping. So I'm going to take one of these two distress strips and I'm just going to stamp it in a dark colored ink. You could use black ink, gray ink. I'm using a blue ink here. Anything that's a little bit darker so that you can see it in the background. And I'm not worried about covering the entire stamp. I'm really deliberately only covering certain parts of it. And I'm just slowly building up that color with this abstract distress stamp. What I'm going to do is stamp one side, then I'm going to flip my card panel and stamp the other side. And again, I'm not worried about being very neat about this. One of the beautiful things about mixed media is it's a very forgiving form of art. So you don't need to worry about it being perfect. Have fun with it, play with it, and play with your layers until you get them to look the way you want. Now see, it's starting to build up. So now let's go to layer 3, which is heat embossing. Now what I like about heat embossing is the shine that it adds. So we're using the other strip from that distress strips, and I'm adding some gold embossing powder over that. So we've already got color, we have a stencil, we have stamping, and now we're going to be adding heat embossing. And that is going to bring even more life to all of these layers. And I'm doing the same thing I did with the previous stamp. I'm just going to stamp one side, then the other side with my sticky ink pad, and then I'm going to add my embossing powder and heat it up with my heat tool. And already you can see how pretty that looks. But now you're going to see I'm going to go in with a brush and wipe off some of that embossing powder, because I deliberately want some areas to be blank. I want some areas to not have embossing powder. I love that idea with mixed media. So now I'm just going to heat set this, and then you're going to see that lovely shine that gets added to the layers. And now we're ready for the next layer, which is layer 4, adding our focal point. So you can see I've got all my layers there, and they're very subtle but very pretty. I stamped that Believe stamp on a piece of white cardstock and trimmed it down, and now I'm distressing the edges because I just want them to be a little bit playful and not so clean, if that makes any sense. And I'm going to glue that right onto my card base, so you still see the 4 layers that we built behind the word Believe, but that word pops off the page because I've stamped it on a white card panel. Now I have 4 little words from that previous stamp I told you about, and I'm going to create a sentence with those little words. And then I've also stamped my abstract flower, the Lotus, and I'm going to start playing with the placement where I want everything to go. Now I deliberately stamped that Lotus in a different color than everything else I played with because I wanted that flower to pop off the page. But if you notice, all the other elements in that mixed media panel are pretty consistent as far as color goes. You don't want too much color in there or it could get too busy. So you want to be sure that you're working with a few colors and that your design elements kind of blend with each other well, if that makes sense. Now look how I'm adding these sentiments. I'm just making them very playful. And that's what I love about this stamp. And the sentiment reads, Believe and create wonderful memories. And that is it for this mixed media card. Wasn't that easy? I hope that you feel inspired to make one of these yourself. All of the products that I use from Rubbernecker will be in the description box below. I hope you enjoyed making a mixed media card with me today. Take out your supplies and have yourself some fun, my friends.